Me, Superman. I have problem.
Me am Dave. Dave do YouTube things.
I do things on tube you. Yeah. Anyways, what's happening, guys? Welcome to DC Fan-imated. If you haven't guessed, yeah, we're gonna be talking about Bizarro tonight.
Woohoo!
Identity Crisis, Superman the Animated Series. I'm of course Dave the Film Junkie, and with me as always, Mr. Scott McClellan. How's it going, sir?
It's going just fine. Or
Nice.
it's going awful. I'm not. How are we
Yeah.
supposed to talk to?
I know.
Never mind. Okay.
Yes, there's gonna be a lot of that Bizarro talk, I guess you could say.
It's interesting though because I noticed that in the animated series he doesn't do Bizarro talk. He just has terrible grammar, but he doesn't do the whole speaking in reverse or doing the backwards, like you said, the Bizarro talk. That's not part of this iteration of Bizarro. I thought that was
I noticed
kind
that too, revisiting this episode. I was like, you know what? Like, I mean, not even like the S is backwards. Like it's a funky
yes.
S, but it's not backwards like we know Bizarro to be.
Yeah, it's interesting. I wanted to confirm something. Now, do you want to go and say hi to people in the chat before I
There's
jump
not
in?
many. I mean, there's like there's Kings, there's Darkness, and there's Nicotina. All right.
Hey,
There's 2 R's, not 2 Z's. I get confused with that too. Don't worry. Meanwhile, Scott's like, you guys.
so I did do a little bit of research before the show because that's what I do, and I confirmed something.
Ooh.
Okay, you know how I talked about back in season 1 that the word Brainiac in the English language comes from the character in the Superman comics?
Yes.
So does Bizarro.
No shit. I would not have. I would have guessed that Bizarro has been around forever. Really?
No. Actually, I did not get a chance to dive into the Oxford English Dictionary. You know, the holy grail of dictionaries and the history of words. I had to settle for the Merriam-Webster dictionary, but in the Merriam-Webster dictionary, it says down in the notes, basically, from the word bizarre, probably referring to the Superman character. And then it shows that the first time the word Bizarro shows up, not as the character, but as just the use of Bizarro as a noun or as an adjective, first showed up in 1971. The character of Bizarro was created in 1958. So once again, like Brainiac, we have Superman comics giving us new words in the English language.
That's so cool. My God, that's so cool. Wow, I would have not have guessed that. And you're gonna have to come back in. You're pixelating. Damn it! Didn't happen last show, but it happened in this show. And I was like, right as he was explaining that too. It's all good though. But that's so cool. I would not have thought that. I would have thought Bizarro would have been like, already out there just like Brainiac. All right, you're good now, looking clean. But no, that's crazy. I would have not have thought that.
Yeah, I want to give credit to the creator of Bizarro. I always like to do that. I'm the artist is skipping my name. I'm sorry, but the writer was classic Superman Silver Age writer Otto Binder, who also was the co-creator of Supergirl. And Bizarro actually first appeared in an issue of Superboy, like I said, in 1958.
Nice.
So yeah, I believe in that iteration. I'm sure someone will correct me if I'm wrong. It was a duplication ray. Cloning was something that they came up with later because once again, the history of Bizarro is interesting because depending on what era of comics, sometimes Bizarro is a clone, sometimes it's magic duplication ray, sometimes it's a multiversal version of Superman, literally from Bizarro world. If you see that as like a different Earth that you can travel to, because actually I don't think if I'm talking about season 2 of Superman and Lois, I can't go too spoilers, but they had Bizarro show up in Superman and Lois and they did the whole multiverse, different Earth version of him. So it's
interesting. It's interesting because the first time that I got to know the character of Bizarro was, I remember this was like back in the early '90s. We went to like a grocery store or something like that, and of course, on that lovely turn, comic book rack, I'm looking at all of them, and I see it's just the standard Superman comic, and it's both him and Bizarro just like about to punch each other, like on the cover. They're on the cover, and in the background, you see Luthor, I think you see Lois, and you could tell that they're in some kind of lab or something like that. And I was like, oh, I'm like, what is this? Because I had no idea about the character at the time. I mean, like I said, this was like 1991. I don't know when it was. This is when Superman had the long hair. Remember when he had long hair?
Okay, so that wouldn't have been 91. That
Okay.
to help you out there, that would have been 93, and
Okay.
because he got the mullet after he returned from the dead.
True that. Okay. And then he kept the longer hair. And because I remember I got that book and I was like, all right, cool. And it was, and they, of course, it was the cloning, concept, because you see
Right.
him come out. And it was funny because when you see him come out of the chamber, it's Superman with short hair in the style, drawn in the style of like how he's been drawn. And then, of course, he turns into Bizarro. And then there's a whole thing. And then, of course, they do that thing where they spread the story over, like, Man of Steel and Action Comics and all.
Oh yeah, that because do you know what the term for that was?
What was that called?
The Triangle Era.
Okay.
Because if you go back and you look at, because you had Action Comics, you had Superman, you had Man of Steel, you
There's
had
another one too. I forgot
oh
which one.
yeah, okay, hold on, okay, hold on. So Action Comics, Superman, uh,
Was it the Adventures or something like? I don't know.
Adventures of Superman. That's
Was it
right.
that?
Yes,
Yeah. Yeah.
Adventures of Superman. And if you look, and what would happen is those were 4 books, one for every week of the month. And then what would happen is there would be, you'd have in the corner the issue number for that title, but there would be a triangle on the cover with a
Oh,
number for
yeah.
that year. And that lets you know what order you were supposed to like,
Yeah.
what order you're supposed to be reading the books. And this goes on from like the death of like the 92, 90, all the way to like the 2000s. They
Yeah.
had this interconnected narrative going through all 4 major Superman titles. It's cool though, because if you have DC Infinite, DC Universe Infinite, the DC comic service, there's actually a reading list they've curated called the Triangle Era, and it just goes ahead and orders all those books in order that you can just, like Netflix, you can just flip through and it jumps across the different titles but puts them in the correct order.
They did that with Batman as well, right? With like Detective Comics and Batman, and
They did they
not as
did
much, right?
not
Just
as
more with the,
much.
yeah.
I mean, you had something like Nightfall, like
Yeah.
like we had Nightfall and No Man's Land. You had the big like crossover events, but Superman titles in the 90s, that was just like what they did. Like,
Yeah.
I
And
mean, yeah,
what was kind of cool is the illustrations were different with each
yes,
book. So like you didn't get the same illustrations. Like it was very interesting because I remember, like, I think it was Action Comics at that time. It was almost like Superman didn't have pupils at sometimes. Like, I don't know the way he was drawn, but there was like the actual just Superman comic book was drawn, so like it was like the best drawn. And like I remember Man of Steel, they took liberties to like I don't know who was the illustrators on all these, but I just remember like, oh wow. And I remember as a kid going, oh wow, that's how they do it. That's kind of cool. And I remember collecting other books or certain stories with Superman that were like that too, where like they said like, yeah, to be continued, and they tell you to be continued in Man of Steel volume, whatever the fuck. So it's kind of interesting. But that's how I got introduced to the characters, because I just saw it right on the rack. I saw the cover and I was like, that looks cool. I don't know what that is. And here we are.
I actually have a fun story involving Bizarro because it helped me
Okay.
win a trivia
Before you
contest.
say it, you gotta go out again. I don't know. Your thing is pixelating once again. Jeez. God, you gotta love it. I'm drinking some ranch water tonight. It's good. It's not bad. At first, it kind of hits you. It tastes like tequila because I got agave. So, anyways, all right. Story.
Okay, so I went to the midnight showing of Superman Returns. And of course, back when we didn't know what the movie was going to be, so we were just excited. There was a Superman movie coming out.
Exactly.
And what ended up becoming my local comic book store, they would, back in that day, they would go to these first screenings and they would do trivia contests and they would bring stuff to give away. And I remember I won an issue of World's Finest because they asked, uh, green kryptonite hurts Superman. What kryptonite hurts Bizarro? And I knew the answer.
No shit.
Yeah.
That's
And
awesome.
I think it was like one of the, and it was really great because it was one of those questions where like no one's hand was up and mine just went. I mean, they have the questions that everyone's going to be able to answer. And then you like it when you get the one that you're like,
The detailed ones.
yeah,
Yes.
the one that you go, I know this one because I'm a nerd.
Yeah. No, that's cool. That's cool. So that was okay. That was weird. I don't know if you saw this, but on your screen, there was like a thumbs up that like happened. I don't know what the heck that was.
I think I saw the light blink on my webcam. I think the
Okay.
webcam did something.
Dude, you like froze up and a bubble came up with a thumbs up. And I was like, that's why you say if you saw my face, I was like, what the hell is that? I don't know.
I saw the light blink and I was like, okay, what just happened while I was talking?
Interesting. All right. Well, anyways, I mean, we'll dive into the episode now. I mean, overall, what'd you think of how you think about this episode?
What I really one thing is the story is so good that even though it's not the best animation,
No.
this was actually an episode where I felt like the story overcame not having the A-team animation. And that's unusual for me because usually when, the animation is not the A game, the episode suffers for me. But the writing of this one, and Robert Goodman wrote the episode. He co-did the story with Joe Lansdale, who we've talked about before because he did like, the Showdown episode for Batman the Animated Series, and I forgot which other one he did, but he did a lot of the pulp. He would do some of the more pulpy stuff. So I feel like the fact that they rooted Bizarro's motivation in this idea that no, I'm the real Superman. I think that was the magic of this episode because kind of like what they did in Batman the Animated Series, where they made sure that every villain had such deep psychological underpinnings for like why they do what they do. They gave that to Bizarro because the episode's called Identity Crisis.
Yeah.
And so what you have is this clone who's like, no, I'm the real one. And struggling with the fact that he doesn't understand why there's another Superman. And I think that really helps the emotional through line of the episode and really nails the character for me.
I agree with that wholeheartedly, especially when you watch this episode and some of the things that even happen when he sees the clones, when you see the clones, and even when stuff happens where one of the clone like falls out and just it's dark, a little dark. And you see the growth of the character because he, when he changes to the Bizarro character, he definitely I mean, he's still believing that he is the real Superman, and everybody's looking at him like a fucking monster. I mean, obviously there's a whole thing with Lois Lane here. And then even she goes, when you get to the end of this, like, you're still, you're a hero. It's like you see this path, it's done very well. I really love this episode.
And I mean, we cannot get through this episode without saying golf clap for Tim Daly.
Yes.
For doing both characters.
Well, yeah. Yeah. Oh, I knew you were going to bring that. I was like, yes. I was like, the fact that, obviously he's doing because he's got to, it's because it's still Superman, so like, obviously when he turns into Bizarro, he just has to do, and he fucking nails it. God, he nails it. Jesus.
Oh, man. I do not, I wish Tim Daly got I mean, we loved still love, even after his passing. We love Kevin Conroy.
Yeah.
And I feel like people love Tim Daly, but I just don't understand why I guess Tim Daly just didn't stay with the character for 30 years like Conroy did. But it's like, dude, Tim Daly is like is just nailing this. And it's nice to go back and just really appreciate, like, what a amazing actor he is in this role. And to quote his YouTube channel, don't be a douche.
Don't be a douche.
Don't be a
Yeah.
douche.
Tim Daly is just always so likable. I mean, obviously, we've talked about it before, like just and him on Wings, that's that was like the big show he was on. But anytime that he shows up, I mean, he was just such a perfect Superman voice. And yeah, like you said, he didn't stick with the character as much as Kevin Conroy. But at the same time, if I'm reading a Superman comic book, I'm hearing Tim Daly's
And
voice.
here's Tim Daly. Yeah, not gonna lie. So
Yeah.
his portrayal of Bizarro in this episode
Good.
is
It's great.
it's wonderful. The way this episode begins, though, I want okay. I okay, you're laughing, so I think you're thinking the same thing I was thinking, which usually happens with the two of us.
Yeah.
Do you feel like that the beginning of this episode, when it's the Bizarro Superman, and we don't know that yet, like they're doing a parody of
Yes.
what everyone thinks Superman
Yes.
is?
They 100% are, like, because it's like you got this kid, that's up on this power power lines, like tower, like not not a utility pole, but an actual tower, like the big towers that you see. He can't get down. Superman swoops in, saves him. Little Tommy, and of course you got his older friends. They always like convince the younger one. I think he was wearing
I
suspenders.
double dog dare you.
Yeah, that whole thing. And then as soon as like he takes him down, like Superman gives like this whole spiel, like it's the end of a GI Joe episode. It's like
Yes, the PSA. It's a PSA.
total PSA. And sorry again, you're pixelating. God, they're making up for all the other good times that you were not. But yeah, it definitely starts like a PSA, and Superman's just basically giving the business of like, why not to do this, why not to do that, why you shouldn't be doing that. But yeah, but it totally is a PSA. And they were just, yeah, it's kind of like, yeah, like you said, like it's like they're parodying Superman.
And because it keeps on going on, it's like,
Yeah.
and he's flying around, he's doing the salute, like
Yes.
he's
Hey, Superman.
love ya. And
Yeah.
he even at one point, like,
Yeah.
puts his hand on his hip and does this number. I think it's when he's talking to Clark. And
Yeah.
it's just like, oh my God, this is either the parody of what everyone thinks Superman is, or just a little wink and a nod at like the Christopher Reeve interpretation of the character,
Yeah.
or that silver age like, because that silver age, because once again, we don't dog on Christopher Reeve because he's an amazing actor. He's playing the character as the character was written in the Silver Age, and I feel like that's what Bizarro is doing. He's
Oh yeah.
playing this version of what we think Superman is.
Yeah, totally. And then, so when that's happening too, and he's like flying around and they're doing like, hey, Superman. And then, of course, he hears a police chase happening. So he stops it, and he stops the way that he does. The guys that are being chased, he just kind of puts his hands down on the hood, stops the car. But then it's kind of funny because Clark and Lois are also on this little highway going up this hill because they have a story that they're going to be doing. And they, she has to swerve and be like, oh crap. And then Clark goes, I just love how Clark goes, because she hits the railing and Clark goes flying over the cliff into the water. And of course, gets saved by Superman. And he's like, I mean, I love how his glasses are all like, he's like, what? Like, what's happening? Like, like, wait a minute, And I'm kind of wondering if Bizarro Superman wasn't there to save him, how would he would have just probably landed in the water and been like, oh yeah, I just,
Oh yeah, he would have come up with some
yeah.
lame excuse.
But
But
he had to go with it. He had to literally fall, like fly out, and he's falling. But then it's like, wait a minute, why is myself saving me? What the fuck? Like, it's so, yeah, he's so just. That's gotta be
It's
cool.
really good, and you love episodes like this because it
Mhm.
just continues to convince people that Clark Kent isn't Superman. If you
Yes.
literally can see Superman and Clark Kent next to each other.
Yeah, even though they're like same height, same hair color. It's like, come on, Lois, figure it out. Figure it out. Especially when you find out that one of them's fake. But yeah, it is. It's just kind of funny because he's just and then of course Bizarro Superman is all about like, hey Lois, you want to like
He
perhaps
starts hitting on her, like,
oh, big
shamelessly.
time. Yes. Well, I mean, it's because a little bit of Lex injected into him, I think. But yeah, he's
Oh,
just
no, this
like,
isn't Con-El, I don't think
right. Yeah, no, it's not. But it's just funny because yeah, he does is like, yeah, how about dinner? I'll meet you on the rooftop of Daily Planet at 8 o'clock. So it's all just like, and then Clark is just like, now I'm just gonna go ahead. I'm still a little shocked. I'm just gonna go ahead and walk this off. And I like how he says, like, us country bumpkin, I almost said bumpkins, and we just like
10
to,
miles to school.
yeah, exactly. We used to walk 10 miles to school and all of that. And then she's just like, your loss, my byline. Good.
I
Good
loved
exchange.
that. That was
Yeah.
a great Lois-ism.
Yes, that was a great Lois, and it was a great Clarkism too, because he's just like, well, I'm just gonna do this. But we all know that it's like, oh no, he's gonna, change into Superman and go figure what the fuck
Oh,
is
by
going
the
on
way,
here.
did you notice, like, the wipe that happens as he's, like, doing the
Yeah,
shirt rip? Like,
so good.
it actually, like, it goes across the screen and, like, in his outline is the wipe across before we, like, reveal Metropolis. I was like, "That's cool." They normally don't do, like, cool transitions like that in this show.
Yeah,
So much so that when this one happened, I was like, "I see what you
that's
did there."
different. That's cool. Yeah, no, I saw it too, and I'm like, yeah, good job. Good job, man. Even though the animation, of course, is not the top, but it's still, it's a cool little transition to, all right, now we're gonna get to this point where they face each other for the first time. And one of the first things that starts to happen, especially, I mean, we start seeing like the white skin starting to form on our little fake Superman here.
Yeah,
And
but that's when he comes in like a wrecking
well,
ball.
yeah, I know. They have the it's gonna save the yeah, coming like a wrecking ball. I like that. But yeah, so I mean, it's funny because he's just like going, "Hey, wait a minute." He's like he starts blaming, of course, the real Superman of like, "Hey, you're doing a trick. Hey, like, what are you doing right now?" And then, of course, they start doing like, and they start duking it out. And of course, we're gonna get some Supermen. They're gonna be flying into buildings and having a little bit of
Yeah,
a fight
this
here.
is the one criticism I have of the episode,
Okay.
that the transformation into full-blown Bizarro happens way too fast.
It does, it does. Well,
22
22 minutes.
22
Yeah.
minutes. Yeah, yeah. Thank you, Dave. I know what you were about to say.
All right.
It goes from, like, patches of white to suddenly, "Oh, no, here I am. I'm Bizarro."
Yeah, it's
Uh,
like patches of white, and then there's like a moment where like the white is still forming, and then hit the eye, the black around the eyes start
eyes,
forming,
yeah.
and then all of a sudden, like he gets to the point, and I'm like, but part of me is going like, why does the costume change though?
Yeah, I try to headcanon that one.
Doesn't really make sense.
Doesn't really make sense that the costume is
Dulled out.
degrading.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. I do, however, like the fact that the suit, like you said, the colors just get a little bit more fade. Like the red becomes more like a purple,
yeah.
and I like the color differentiation. But yeah, why does the suit change?
Yeah, you would think like, I mean, unless it's part of the DNA, which wouldn't make sense. Like, why would the cloth
No.
be you'd think they would just make a Superman costume, but yeah, so it is a little interesting. But again, and then I was like, wait a minute, the S doesn't turn backwards. But I mean, I guess that would, I don't know. It's all with the S, changes. It looks all weird, but it doesn't go backwards. But
Yeah. My kids even noticed that. I was watching
yeah,
it and they like jumped into bed as I was watching on my iPad and they were like, the S isn't backward. I was like, yeah,
yeah,
yeah. I know,
exactly.
guys. Yes.
Yeah, so they didn't do that. But and then after, this all happens and we see the transformation, Mr. Bizarro does show up at this secret base up in the mountains.
Okay. I had to take a minute. Okay.
Oh,
I'm jumping ahead a few episodes.
okay.
But dude, did that base not remind me of the base we're going to see in World's Finest parts 1 through 3?
Yeah, I mean, let's face it.
It's
They're
built. It's
probably
built in the
really
side of a mountain. I'm like, Lex,
yes,
you like your labs in the side of mountains,
of
apparently.
course he does. Yeah. No, it's gonna be yeah. I mean, why not? You know, I mean, you just use the same animation, whatever templates or whatever. That's like, when you know. So, but he goes back to here, and then this is where we get the line that I said, like where he just kind of comes in. Obviously, we know that it's Lex. We got Mercy right here, and then and then he just kind of comes in and he goes, I have problem, and then Lex is like, well, and then we get the
No
reveal
shit.
that it's like, yeah. And then we got this obviously Lex has got this doctor. Have we seen this character before?
No, and I don't
No.
think we see this character
He's just
like ever get. I don't think the Doctor even got named.
yeah, I was like the whole time I was like, this is not. I mean, obviously, it looks like one of these scientists that we might see, but it's not Hamilton for sure. But it's like it's just some random doctor dude that's like handling this, and obviously he's just there to give some exposition of what is going on here. He's talking about the alien DNA that we use. We never cloned like this before, so naturally, we weren't sure what was going to happen with this, and yeah, I mean, it's not a pretty sight. And,
But
obviously we
dude,
get
the
the
way
name.
they animate those clones, like with the
Oh,
yellow shade, that's a
creepy.
cool, creepy look.
It
Yeah.
really is a cool, creepy look. But they talk about how they programmed his memory with at least the Superman memories that they have. Obviously, they're not going to have, all, the ones that are secretive, obviously. But, he knows who Lois is, Metropolis, and what he has to do and what he's there for. And then, of course, talking to, and then, of course, we get the name drop from
Mercy.
she's just like she's not having it. She's just like obviously seeing him, and then she's like she's all Bizarro. That's who you am. I was like, damn, she's just not taking any shit, and she's just
But I love it when he goes, "No, me am Superman. Me save people," and he flies to the ceiling. I just love Lex going, "That's coming out of your pay."
yes, it's great. It's great, and yeah. So he, after this whole thing, and again, it's a great scene because it's revealed on who he actually is. He's not accepting it. So he's like, you know what? I'm going to go off and I'm going to do my Superman thing. And Superman, obviously the brain is breaking down. So he's like again, going back to the wrecking ball thing, he sees a wrecking ball that's destroying a building. So he's like, I have to save building. And so he's going to save the building. And I love this whole sequence right here because we have Bizarro thinking he's saving things, and then Superman is coming right behind him to actually fix what he's fucking up.
I love when he throws the crane and the
Yeah,
wrecking ball towards
yeah.
the wedding, and Superman grabs it, and everyone looks up, and he goes, "Don't ask me, I just catch him."
Yes, exactly. So great. Because because Superman's flying around trying to find Bizarro, and then when Bizarro's like, "Oh well, I'm going to save this building," and he takes that crane and he just launches it into the air. Superman sees it, and yeah, like you said, there's a wedding, of course, happening, and then he just catches it by the cables, and yeah, of course, Tim Daly, beautiful execution of that line. Don't ask me, I just catch him. And it's like, yes,
Yes. Yes. And then of course Bizarro has to go to the bridge that's
drawbridge, yeah,
drawbridge, and he's like, "Bridge breaking,
yeah.
must save." It's just like,
So then he closes it up, and then he uses his, obviously the his vision to weld it shut, and then
which
he
is
thinks,
okay. I'm gonna stop right there. That's an interesting change in what normally is depicted in the character.
hmm,
Because Bizarro is usually depicted as the reverse
yeah,
of Superman. He doesn't have heat ray vision
yeah,
traditionally. He
yeah,
has ice vision. It's interesting because Bizarro traditionally has ice vision and fire breath.
hmm,
The
reversed, yes, yeah,
reversed, right? I guess they went this way because he is just a clone. Like,
yeah,
his powers would work the same way. But did you notice that they didn't do the lasers coming out of the eyes? It
No,
was
he just kind of looks at it, and you see like
the red glow.
yeah, the glow that's happening when he's doing that. So then naturally, of course, Superman has to like stop because we got this big ship that's going through. They can't stop quickly, so he has to, and I like, again, it's like another thing of like Superman struggling to try to do it. I like how it was like he gets to the point, yeah, and he gets to the point where he has to like almost even like he touches the bridge, and then he's just like, yeah, and then of course
and he actually uses pushing the
yeah.
he actually pushes off the bridge to push the ship. Yeah.
Yes, I love that because he's like struggling, and then he just kind of like when he gets to the bridge, he just goes, and then of course he does the that typical, wipe off the sweat off your brow, Superman, good job. So we get that, and then of course, don't ask me. Yeah, I wrote that line too. Don't ask me, I just catch them. Such a great line. Such a great line. And then naturally, Bizarro, he's not going to forget to meet Lois on top of the Daily Planet.
Because Superman saved Lois.
Yes, exactly. And of course, she was like, I didn't think he would show. I mean, obviously she's excited. She's excited for it, but then of course sees the creature that is Bizarro, and like, yeesh. I mean, it's a little bit of a horror vibe. Phantom of the Opera. Nah.
Okay, you get a little family on. You get really more like Frankenstein's monster.
Yeah, I was just about to go to that. More Frankenstein's monster type. Phantom of the Opera was like a reveal, obviously, when it came.
Yeah, well, no, but I knew you were going with that. I like that.
Yeah.
It's just that he's the creep. He's more like as the novel would call him. He's the creature,
the monster.
Monster.
God. Do you hear that Oscar Isaac's gonna play? Well, have you heard about it? Okay,
No,
well, okay, we're going off on a tangent right here.
Okay, tangent. Yes, Phil Scott in. Yes,
you didn't know about this?
I did not know about this.
You don't? Do you know who's directing?
No,
Guillermo del Toro. Okay, Oscar Isaac is the monster. Maya Goth is the bride, and Andrew Garfield is Dr. Frankenstein.
Oh my God.
Wow, I'm so glad he had yeah, that was revealed on what's on Netflix. Like it was like a few days ago. Yeah.
Oh, man, it's gonna be a Netflix movie.
A Netflix movie. Del Toro's making a Frankenstein movie. Oscar Isaac as the monster, Andrew Garfield as Dr. Frankenstein, and Maya Goth as the bride. So
I am so looking forward to that because I've had a couple of really great creature performances. Because you've got De Niro in the Kenneth Branagh film because he was.
I don't care what anybody says. It's a good fucking movie.
It's a good movie.
Really good fucking movie. Do yourself a favor. You haven't seen that. Mary Shelley, right?
Mary Shelley.
Is that the thing? Yeah.
Mary Shelley's Frankenstein.
Yeah.
Directed by Kenneth Branagh. Is it directed by Branagh, or he just plays Dr. Frankenstein?
I can't
remember. But I just remember De Niro was the creature, and he was fabulous.
Oh yeah.
And then Rory Kinnear played the creature in Penny Dreadful on Showtime. If you've never seen that series,
I never saw Penny Dreadful.
Oh, dude!
Oh, I know. That's one of the ones that I need to visit. I know. Yeah, eventually, I'll get there. I will. But anyways, so there you go. And anybody who didn't know that was coming out, there you go. We got a Del Toro Frankenstein movie coming out with those three. So it's gonna shaping up to be something magical because Del Toro it's
Del Toro.
It's Del Toro. Just that guy. Anything that he does, I'm all for it. Pan's Labyrinth. God damn it.
You know what? And I hate to say it, I still need to see that.
Oh, dude, it's so beautiful. Like
I know. I have the Criterion Blu-ray. Like they did a Del Toro box set of I think all three of his. I think they're all his Spanish language films, and it's on my to-do list.
You're gonna love it. It's so freaking good. All the designs and the cinematography and just
it's Del Toro.
It's Del Toro. The guy just is. He's an artiste.
He is.
Artiste. But of course, we have Superman showing up. to the Daily Planet, and but again, he's Bizarro, of course, just like goes, hey, well, here's he's gonna throw the big
Globe.
the Daily Planet globe at him, and then of course Lois, like being freaked out, she trips, and then of course falls over the edge. And then of course Bizarro saves her, and then is like, I saved Lois, and blah blah blah, and then they fly off. And then I love how Superman, like, it's like, I was like, man, how are they gonna put that back? Where's he gonna put that? And I was like, oh yeah, that's right. He's just gonna melt, the stand that it's on, and then just stick it on there, and hopefully it'll just cool off
You had to make that sound, didn't you?
yeah, of course.
Okay.
Because it's you have to liquefy that thing. But I was like, that's cool. That's a good band-aid. I mean, of course, somebody's probably gonna have to go up there and actually check and make sure that
Actually
thing
weld that thing back on. Yeah.
make sure that thing, that thing's not gonna fall over. But it's a good temporary fix, is what I'm saying. But and then of course, then we get to this restaurant.
This is where it goes just a little, like, it goes
a little too far. Yeah, I
it
get
goes
it.
a little too far. I'm not gonna ding it. Like I said, it's not a terrible slight against the episode, but it does just go like
A little too cartoony, because
yeah.
he's like just blah, 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 just eating and talking with his mouth full. And then, of course, what he's eating looks gross. I mean, he's eating shrimp and I don't know
Something
what.
else.
Yeah,
Yeah,
some green, like, I don't know what it is.
I mean, that's
But
the
then
weird. Like, if I was in the South, I would say he was eating shrimp and grits, because that's what it looked like to me.
maybe that could be, I don't know. But and then of course he offers Lois that, and she's just like, I had a late lunch. And then she goes, which is coming.
Which is I'm about to lose.
Yeah, well, about to lose. That's what she says. Yeah, yeah, because it's really gross. But Lois does the Lois thing. She's like, all right, I'm in this predicament, but I gotta, obviously this is a story. So she pulls out her tape recorder and starts being like, all right, let me just start asking questions. Might as well, because we're doing that. And then, of course, Bizarro starts mentioning where he was born, which was at this lab up in the hill, up in the mountains, and blah blah blah. Starts mentioning the lab and everything, and then of course, she was like, yeah, let's go there, let's go to this. And then again, this whole sequence is completely cartoony, because she, he grabs her, she leaves the tape recorder, because it's like, oh yeah, obviously someone's going to find that Superman, and then we're going to figure out where the end of this episode is going to go. But I love it. She's just like, because there's a big hole in the restaurant,
in the wall.
yeah, in the wall, because that's Bizarro is just doesn't know how to. And she goes, well, use the door this time. And then of course he just flies right through the door, breaking it. And she goes, ow. Like he's holding on to her, and like she felt that impact. It's so ridiculous. It's a ridiculous scene, but it's fine.
It's fine. Yeah. Because then Superman shows up, and he's just like, I love the maitre d' complaining to the Metropolis police officer. Some monster came in here dressed up like Superman. They sat there for like a few minutes and they flew off.
Yeah, exactly. But of course he hears that they're at this lab, and then asks, whoa, where'd they fly off to? Like, what direction? So then of course we get to this scene, which I think this is, going to what you were saying, when we actually see like these clones, in the yellow like liquid. And because when they walk in there, and she starts turning things on, and we start seeing we see the tubes, and there's a numerous, and it's just like it's the outline of Superman. It's Superman, but there's no facial expression, there's no anything. It's so creepy looking.
So creepy. It's interesting to me because in my head, what I kept on thinking about was, have you seen it was back in from like 2007, but when DC first started doing those direct to video movies, and they did that not great adaptation of the Death and Return of Superman called Superman Doomsday.
I did see the first. I don't think I saw. Wasn't there like numerous ones? Like, didn't they? Or no, maybe I didn't see this. I don't know.
Okay, well, it was the first one they released, but like I said, back in 2007. It was done in this Bruce Timm style, and when they do the Return of Superman, instead of doing the 4 Supermen, they just do one bad Superman that's a clone, so it's kind of a play on Bizarro. And they have a scene with him in the lab, but he's just like but that scene in that lab with those clones makes me like
similar. Yeah,
it makes me think because it was just 10 years earlier when they did this episode, so it was interesting.
It sounds familiar, but I think I was thinking about the newer ones.
Then when they did, that was like in like 2018,
yeah, that was
2017,
like 10 years later.
Yeah, they did a 2-part movie that was which was the first part, The Death of Superman was.
Yeah, it was great.
Chef's kiss. The Reign of Superman, which did the whole
Reign. That's what it was called. Yes.
Yeah, it was weaker than The Death of Superman, but yeah. Sure. But still, they did but it was still like a 3-hour movie when you put it all together, which they eventually did.
Yeah. Oh God, you gotta love those cuts. Did we got the long Halloween?
Yes, we got the deluxe edition of Long Halloween.
I still have to watch that all the way through. I still have to watch that for sure.
Yeah, I will say the Death and Return of Superman, which is what they ended up calling it, is the best of the super cuts because it's the one where you don't feel like you just feel part 1 end, blackout, part 2 starts.
Yeah.
They did something interesting where they cut it together with basically there was some mid-credit scene stuff from Death of Superman that they just overlaid some dialogue over and used it as the bridge between the 2 parts. So it's the one of the 3 supercuts they've done that feels like one continuous movie versus, that's where part 1 ended and this is where part 2 starting.
So we're at this part, so we got all this, we see the clones, and then of course Lex reveals himself, which is
interesting. Lex was just like, yep, this is me.
Because she's all, someone is cloning Superman, and he's all, not someone, me. And of course it's Lex, and
very Bond villain-esque. I felt it.
Big time. Big time Bond.
I loved, however, the direct callback to A Little Piece of Home.
You know what? I forgot to mention this. Did you notice when we finally fully get Bizarro and he flies off? Did you notice the change in the score?
No, I did not.
Okay, we might have to go back and I might have to chase you. Shirley Walker did something to the score for it sounds like the Superman score, but it's not quite that. I might have to go back because I totally forgot about that. I had it in my notes. I had to rewind it. I'm like, the score it's almost like it sounds like almost like she reversed it or did something.
Well, it's possible what she could have done musically, what she could have taken something that normally would be in a major key and could have transposed it into a minor key.
We'll go back to it because obviously we're gonna do the final battle and we're gonna watch that clip. But I'm gonna go back and I want you to hear that because I was because I totally forgot and we passed it. And I was like, oh yeah, I forgot about that. But yeah, obviously we get this whole little showdown thing, and then of course Superman's going to be showing up, and obviously Bizarro is not having it. He's like, what no Lex, don't, no. So look at that right there. This shot, it's such a cool shot right there. Lex is like, I'm gonna die maybe, but here we go.
Not get away from Superman.
The clones, and then he just starts destroying the place to throw at him. So intense.
Declan was watching this with me. He was like, he's making too much of a mess.
Yeah.
Too much destruction.
He doesn't know better. So the score sounds so good. And then he even starts, look at that. Oh, that's so creepy.
Oh, that so shot creepy, right
there. So creepy. And even Lois is like, duck.
I can't cancel the auto destruct.
Oh, and here comes Superman just in the nick of time.
Of course. There it is.
The smoke was a clue.
Definitely helped.
Oh, I hear it. I heard it.
You. Me kill you.
Me kill you.
She meant now, Superman. Superman, we're sitting on top of a half-kiloton of explosives. Enough, I presume, to destroy even you.
Ooh.
So that was also a really interesting idea that they are indicating that a big enough explosion
Could kill Superman.
could
yeah.
kill Superman.
Yeah, I thought that was interesting too.
Now, run!
And then just Lex just books it, and then of course Lois doesn't quite get there. Oh no!
Ah, the heels, the leg.
And Lex is like, I don't give a shit. Get the fuck
Oh
out of
no,
here.
peace
He
out.
don't care. He's like, done.
Superman!
Yeah. Look at that ugly face.
No, but I like.
But then he
that
starts
movie.
realizing right here.
He's saving Lois.
Yeah.
Man saves Lois.
And then he looks at the clone. Oh man, that's creepy. See? And that shot right there. Look at that Dutch tilt.
Yes.
Ah, so cool. I love that shot. That was my
That's the
favorite
part of
shot.
the episode I remember, like,
Yeah.
rewatching the episode, like, that was what I remember was that shot.
Yeah, that shot was beautiful. And then there you go. Aw.
Behold, you go. Me, no, I'm Superman. You am Superman.
See? Ah.
Oh, man.
Save
Hey,
Lois.
Lois.
Yeah.
Yes.
You are a hero.
Aw. And then he
I
smiles.
love that goofy smile he gets.
And then, of course, explosion. And then, of course, we get the ending of this, which is a good line, too, that Lois gives Superman.
Do you think he survived?
I don't know. I've never been in a half-kiloton blast. I hope he did. He turned out to have a good heart.
Well,
Mm.
naturally. He came from good stock.
Aw.
Aw.
Came from good stock. All right, let's see. Let me remember where. I think it was the first time that he flew. Was it around here? I think it was around here. Let's see.
Okay.
Hear that?
Yeah.
A little
Yeah,
different.
What
a
she's
little
doing,
different.
she's
Me, I'm
inverting.
Superman.
Yeah.
She's inverting it. Instead of it being a progression up the scale, it goes down.
Listen, right here. Yeah.
Yeah. No,
It's-
it goes
yeah.
a little. It's a minor, or it goes just a little flat instead of. It's not allowed to go as instead da da da. It's
Yeah.
dun dun dun. Yeah.
No, I heard that. I was like, oh wow, she changed the score. I mean, it makes sense. And I was like, that's really cool. Just
That
to
is really
represent
cool. I'm
it.
so glad you caught that.
Dude, I was like, yeah, I was wondering, yeah, and I almost like skidded past it, and then it hit me. I was like, oh yeah, gotta bring that up. So yeah, pretty cool. Good job, Shirley Walker. We love you. But there you go. That's Identity Crisis. Great episode. I love it.
Good episode. It's
really a great
good
episode. Yeah, it's good. The character, the way that it progresses and everything, and yeah, just absolutely fantastic. But what do we have next week?
Okay. It's still a Superman episode.
Okay.
I don't remember a thing about this episode.
That
I even read the synopsis and I was like, saw the title. I don't remember this episode. Read the synopsis. I still got nothing.
What's it called?
Target.
Target? No.
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 It doesn't have any supervillains in it.
Yeah. I mean, it sounds like there's some kind of assassin that's a part of it.
It's not even that grandiose based on
Wow.
the synopsis that I read. Lois has a stalker. So it's but I was sitting there going, I don't remember this episode at all.
Okay. Target, yeah. And then like even looking at HBO Max right now, it shows Clark Kent and he's got a sling like he hurt his arm.
I saw that too, yeah. And I was like, yeah, this isn't helping me at all.
Yeah. Which usually those don't help at all.
Oh no. Though those things are
Yeah,
terrible for the
the
most part.
thumbnails on Max really don't really. I mean, sometimes maybe because like you look ahead, there's like
But yeah,
one.
but you do a better like the ones you pick for our art should
Oh
be
yeah,
like the ones that are on
exactly.
Max.
Dude, when I type it in, I mean, like obviously when it came to Batman the Animated Series, I just wanted to use the title card because those are glorious. But
Glorious.
obviously, when it comes to now these, they didn't have title cards like that. So I'm like, all right, well, I'm not gonna, use the one that shows the title because sometimes those
Oh yeah,
suck.
you mean the blank space that we
Yeah,
had for like last
they
set of
suck.
Krypton?
They suck. So like I usually use the ones from IMDb. Like they have like good ones where I'm like, yeah, all right, show what this thing is all about. But yeah, we got Clark Kent in a sling. Fuck if I know what the hell's happening. Yeah, this is gonna be an interesting one. All right. I like it. I like it. I
Yeah,
like it when
it's
like,
very it's very rare the episode that I go,
what?
"Fuck is this?"
So there you go, guys. Target. That's what we'll be talking about next week on DC Fan-imated. So make sure you guys watch that and spend some time with us. And thank you for spending some time with us tonight. This
Before
was
we
a
sign
fun
off,
episode.
though, I do
Ooh,
feel
okay.
like we lost another one for
Oh, that's
the
right.
animated universe. On Friday, it was announced that
No.
Richard Mall
Yeah.
passed away at the age of 80. Richard Mall, of course, was our Harvey Dent Two-Face
Yes.
in the DC animated universe. Of course, most people would know him from Night Court
Yeah.
because
Playing bull. Yeah.
playing Bull.
Yeah.
I always like to remind everyone he was in the first episode of the Highlander TV show.
Mm. He's all over the place. I mean,
He's just a fabulous character actor.
yeah, he's a great character actor. I mean, it's he, 80 years old, he lived a pretty full life, which is great. I always like it when, celebrities when the celebrities that I know and grew up with make it to at least like in the 80s, and it's I kind of go, it just makes it feel better. Like, it's more of a full
It's
life.
not,
I
it's
mean,
not like the past year where we lost Kevin Conroy and
well,
Arlene Sorkin. Like
well,
those just
we just lost Matthew Perry,
yeah.
and that one really hit hard for me because I really loved that guy, and he was only 54, and it's like that makes it hurt more,
Yeah.
When I always feel a little bit better, like when I saw Richard Mole die, and I was like, yeah, he's 80. I'm glad that he made it to 80 at least, Yeah, I'm sure he could have probably went a little bit more, but at the same time, it just feels like, and he was all over the place. Like I said, he was all over the place. He would pop up in movies. He was. You see him, you hear his voice. He was great Harvey.
He had such an amazing voice.
Yeah, and he was all over the place when it came to voice acting too. So, but yeah, I don't have any more of this, but yeah, cheers to Richard Mole for passing away, 80 years old. Cheers to him. So if I had more of this. Anyways, but I'm glad you brought that up. I meant to bring that up at the beginning.
Because I think it's also appropriate because when we do return to Batman the Animated Series, it's a Two-Face episode.
Yes. I think I remember this Two-Face episode.
It's kind of obvious we think what the Two-Face episode has to be.
I think so. Yeah. All right, guys. But we're going to be watching Target next week, and God knows what that's about. Maybe it's
Whatever
just,
that's about. Yeah.
Lois and Clark going to Target. Maybe that's all that's about. And then, but yeah, I'm like, why does he have a sling? I don't know. There's something familiar about it, though. Something in my brain is going, because I know obviously he's faking it. Anyways, we'll figure it out next week. But go ahead and promote anything you got to promote, Scott.
Well, of course, you can find me on X at ScottDC27, Instagram at McMerlin, and Vero at Scott McClellan. You can find my podcast, the DC Squadcast, wherever podcasts can be found. We're on Vero, Facebook, and YouTube with the entire network of shows at squadcastmedia.com.
There you go. All right, guys. I'll see you guys tomorrow on Film Junkie Live, 6 p.m. Pacific time. Got lots to talk about, of course. And yeah, but next week, of course, at the same time, we'll be talking about Target, which it's going to be interesting for sure. All right, guys. We love you, and we'll talk to you later.